Hey, what's up everybody? Hanaris here, bringing you the first in a long line of videos that will explain the features and gameplay of Diablo 3. That's right folks, the beta has just been released for the press and all of that good stuff, so we're going to be covering the classes, what they do, their strengths, etc. Pretty much everything that I outlined in the announcement video. So we're going to start off here. This is... This is Sock Drawer. This is my level 12 Demon Hunter, which I have been kind of messing around with. And I've kind of become accustomed to the way she plays, and so I'm probably going to start off with her, and then we'll continue on in our video series and playing each individual class pretty much from the start. So you also do have several options here at the main menu. You can choose your party, you can invite players from different lists. You also have access to the auction house, which you can just see right here. And a lot of this is not available in the beta, and you can see I've spent down a lot of my money right now. And keep in mind, gold is shared between your characters. That's something that I've kind of realized that may make it to the final. It may not. I don't really know for sure. I think it will, because it's a really cool feature. But you have the ability to search, so we can look for equipment and pick, okay, one hand, all items and types, and then click search, and boom. So you have a Griswold. Wow, that's a legendary sword right there, folks. I have to say, that is quite nice indeed. So you can just kind of get an idea of the type of items that you can find littered around the world. And you've also got, you can bid, you can sell, completed, all that stuff. So you can arrange it by stats that you want to find on your weapon. And I'm not going to spend too much time. Wizard damage! But, yeah, so there's that. And so we're going to exit out of that. And we'll go to... You could switch hero. Pretty self-explanatory. Create hero, and we'll actually just look at that real quick. So here's their menu, and again, this will probably change a little bit between now and when the game comes out, but as of today, this is what it looks like. You can pick between male and female, or of any class, and yeah, so that's pretty much just what they look like. Here's the monk, male and female, witch doctor, female and male, and finally, the wizard, male and female. And yes, I'm just going to keep calling it Wizard in that voice, because that voice is immensely awesome. So Demon Hunter is the one that we're going to be starting off with. And you see it kind of shows her already geared out a little bit, but we're not going to make a new one just yet. And of course, you can see that the descriptions there. I'm actually going to load up the campaign for my current Demon Hunter Sock Drawer, and you can change it to access invite only. You can make it public. You can also join public games right here. It'll say, okay, well, what quest? And there's 57 players working on game series, so you can just click join a game. And I think it's kind of interesting, the chat kind of hangs out right here. And I'm sure they'll move the combat stuff and the item stuff into a different tab later on down the road. But we're going to go ahead and click start game and load in, and you can change the quest. There's a couple different quests that you can actually set it to start the game
Let us
at.
seek honor together, my friend.
And here I'm actually starting out in a rather late stage of the game, so I'm not going to spoil too much for you. I will actually just go outside here, and we will take a look at... just a couple of the abilities that the Demon Hunter has. The Demon Hunter is the ranged class, or a ranged class, using crossbows, bows, stuff like that. You don't have to have arrows. That's one of the nice things that I just love so much about that. But we'll head out here, and
I hear something stirring in the distance.
this is one of your kind of mercenaries, a mercenary equivalent rather, from Diablo 2. This is a Templar. You can pick 3 different ones throughout the game, I believe, and we can actually left click this, and you can see you can give him a weapon, you can give him armor, and you can pick different abilities at level 5, 10, 15, and 20. Level 5, you can either pick to have a 15-second cooldown heal, or you can have it so that way he taunts enemies that are attacking you for 8 seconds when you're 75% or below health. Level 10, Loyalty, regenerates 2 life per second for all allies near the Templar or Intimidate. Enemy units are slowed by 80% for 3 seconds when they hit the Templar. You see it also doesn't stack with other slows. We've got Charge at level 15, doing, spoiler, a charge doing 150% weapon damage, and stunning all enemies within 15 yards for 3 seconds, so that's very nice there. And you see how again the little bit of theme, kind of tanking. It's tanking, a little bit of healing, feels a little bit like a WoW paladin of sorts. But delivers a massive blow to an enemy for 200% weapon damage plus physical damage as well. And at level 20, you get Inspire. And you see it generates resources, mana, arcane power, hatred, discipline, fury, spirit, all pretty much +3 or 30% generated every second. And finally, Guardian is your other level 20 choice. And what he'll do is he will, when you are low health or whenever an ally is, he will charge enemies near the ally, doing damage to them and stunning them, and it'll also heal the ally for a little bit of their life, and it gives them a hot as well. So there's the experience bar, and of course that goes up over time. I believe it's capped off by your own level, but I have not actually had a chance to confirm that. So you see he is just all ready to go, man. He's going to be charging in there, and we've got a couple zombies. This guy, look at him, man. I'm not even doing a thing, and yes, he is a decent bit higher than these mobs are, but still, I mean, he certainly holds his own even when mobs are the same level. So he can just go charging through all day here. Now, I'm sure that they'll be tweaked later on, but he's definitely a good person to have on your side. So let's actually review some of the abilities here. You see I've got 3 abilities out of total of 5, plus my potions here. And I've also got 2 abilities here in the center, plus here's the menu as well. And I guess we'll actually just help out this guy really quick here. You'll see I'm actually using a shot called Bola Shot. That is, I didn't really have to use it there just now, but it's one of my favorite new abilities in Diablo 3. Now let's take a look at the spell book. So we press the letter S and we have access to active skills and passive skills. You'll notice there's padlocks with numbers. That basically means that you can unlock your 4th and 5th abilities to have out an fifth and 6th abilities to have active at once while you are playing. And of course you can change these abilities on the fly. So if you feel like you're going to be going into a boss fight soon, or you're going into a dungeon with a lot of tightly packed mobs, you can change up your skill set to reflect the playstyle that you're going to need. Right now, I'm kind of with a nice balance. I've got Bola Shot, which we could see shoots an explosive bola, wraps itself around its target after a second, it explodes, doing AoE fire damage within 7 yards. So, Hungering Arrow, this is basically the Seeker Arrow from Diablo 2. You just fire this off, and I've got it bound to my left click. So you fire it off, and it just goes off, and it seeks a target. It also has a 50% chance to pierce through your targets. So this is a good kind of common shot to use when you're out, you know, you're going between... you're going out here where there's like, sometimes you'll have 2 to 3 mobs like right here, and sometimes you'll have 10, 15, maybe even 20 mobs. You saw how I shot that one arrow, it pierced it and then doubled back through and attacked another guy. That is that Seeker Missile in action. It can continue to seek targets even after it has pierced its initial target. So you see it going through right there. We'll fire off a couple more shots and let it do its thing. Now on the ground, you'll see there's health vials. These are not the same as the health potions. Health potions you pick up and you keep in your inventory, which is located by pressing the letter I, and you see them stockpiles right here. But these potions on the ground, they're called health globes. They are meant as just an instant health recovery. Very nice to have, and yes, there we go with the next ability that we're going to be showing in just a second here, called Chakram. That is basically another AoE ability. There's actually, it's really nice. So far, I feel like the Demon Hunter has a nice balance of single target and AoE shots, and I swear these guys look like they've just eaten like ridiculous amounts of fish. It makes me laugh every time I see that. Just like, the salmon has arrived. But so anyways, wrap up the Hungering Arrow. It's a very good all-purpose shot. It doesn't pack quite the damage as some others like Impale, but it's very good for just your kind of standard running and gunning through the regular mobs style of shooting. I have it bound to the left click, and really it doesn't use that much energy. It uses 15, which is really good considering the fact that one arrow can potentially kill lots of mobs at once. So you see that with just doubling back there and killing 2. My right click is bound to Impale, which is kind of a heavy-hitting shot. We'll talk about that in a minute. But now let's actually talk about Bola Shot. I did already touch on this a little bit a few minutes ago, and we're actually going to go down here and see if we can find any other mobs. Let's try to clear this out and use as much of this as possible. Yes, okay. So the Bola Shot, you'll see it in action. This mob summons a couple more. We'll fire this one off, and you see how it shoots it, or it explodes, and then blows up a bunch around it. Do it again here, here, This guy just keeps killing the things I'm trying to show it with. Oh, a little bit too good for himself. But, you know, overall, I find it's a good complement to the Hungering Arrow when dealing with these small to mid-sized packs. It does pack a nice hit, and it's got that splash damage to deal, especially with mobs that are really low. Now, let's talk about Chakram here for a minute. This is... It kind of reminded me of the Blessed Hammers that you saw in Diablo 2. Shoot it out like that, and it kind of, instead of going on a spiraling path outward, it goes in a direction. Still kind of maintaining that spiral, but increasing the width of it there with each rotation. So now that the Templar has successfully killed everything on the screen, we're going to go and use it. I'll read it the tooltip real quick. See, fires a swirling chakram that does 19 to 26 physical damage to enemies along the path. It can do a lot of damage to those tightly packed groups. You got to watch out when you're in those tight spaces, though, because it will clip with the wall sometimes, and then again, sometimes if you're near a partial wall where it's maybe you've got just a little railing, sometimes it'll bust up the railing and then continue on and expand out into the newly opened area and ultimately kill more things. So very nice ability. This is kind of your wider AoE rather. And so third, we have Impale. Now this is kind of the heavy hitting shot that you have at around level, oh god, I forgot what level I got this at. I want to say between 10 and 12, something like that. But basically, it doesn't shoot an arrow, but it does have a nice little effect there, and it sounds like it's got a lot of power behind it. So that is your good heavy hit. So pretty much if you need to one-shot, you know, kind of your standard mobs, or if you want to use it for bosses, that would be a really good use, then yeah, that's really where you're going to find it to be the most effective. Now, things you can use in combination with it. Let's take it to the next skill here. If you're going to be going for boss fights, a lot of times it's going to be kind of single target focused, not all the time, but there's some abilities that kind of work well with it, and one of them is called Marked for Death. Marks an enemy, it will let you deal an additional 20% damage to the enemy for the next 30 seconds. So if you place this ability on a target and then start hitting them with that Impale, it really racks up the damage. So we're going to actually show you that. Let's see, find a good one. Boom, boom. So yes, indeed, it does hit quite nicely. And you see I'm scoring some crits here. But we'll talk about the character pain here in just a minute. That's just, those are the stats that most of you are familiar with. But that's Impale, works well with Marked for Death. I mean, Marked for Death works well with anything, but it doesn't have a cooldown. It uses 6 Discipline, which is your bar over here. So that's something you do kind of have to be watch out that you don't go too far down in that, because your hatred is kind of more for your offensive abilities, and your discipline is a little bit more for your defensive, elusiveness type abilities, and also support abilities. So you'll find that those are used to that effect later on. We'll collect these globes, even though we are already way to full health. This is a healing well, basically just, you know, same thing from Diablo 2, except made to look a little bit better. Same functionality though. Now, the next ability we're going to look at as soon as these guys are dead. I like how they go flying everywhere. Next ability we're going to look at here. We'll start going through the ones that I don't have up right now. Entangling Shot releases a sticky adhesive that deals damage and entangles 2 enemies, slowing their movement. So we'll pick that one and go out and see if we can find a mob or 2. Should be relatively close as we have a lot of the map unexplored. See, bam, there we go. It snares them, and it looks like you're actually firing a harpoon at them, man. That would definitely do more than snare if I got hit with that. But it does decent damage, I feel like. So if you're trying to kite around, you got some quick mobs, this would be a good ability for you to use. Let's take a look. Next up is Evasive Fire. Now this is a really cool ability. I like this a lot. This basically takes a shot, so we'll see, bam, bam. It doesn't do a lot of damage, and but you see right there, we just activated its secondary feature, which is that if you fire at an enemy that is at close range, you will backflip away 15 yards. So you can use this to start shooting. If maybe you got a whole bunch of mobs coming at you pretty soon, then you can of course always just, oh look, bam, and there you go. So course, it doesn't activate when you're too close, and it only uses that extra discipline when you are close enough for that secondary ability to actually activate. So you don't have to worry too much about going down and wasting your discipline that way. But we're gonna go back over here and take a look. Next, we have Fan of Knives. Most of you who have played WoW or even Warcraft 3 are probably familiar with this. Spoiler: it's a Fan of Knives. So it looks really cool. I mean, it's definitely got the awesome factor going for it. It does 5 to 6 physical damage to all enemies within 10 yards. And it also slows the enemy's movement speed by 35%, but it's only for 4 seconds. So you've got to keep that in mind. You're going to have a very short amount of time to get away. This would be a good ability to use in conjunction with another evasive ability. You see, this one uses Hatred. So this one can technically, it is AoE, although I wouldn't use it for the damage. I would use it more in conjunction with another ability that lets you escape, such as, we'll go with Impale, such as this one right here, Vault. Tumbles acrobatically 35 yards in the direction that you click. So what you can do is, if you've got all your abilities filled out here and you want to get away, so bam, bam, oops, bam, bam, and now you're gone. Now you're gone. So that makes it a lot easier to not only get out of danger, but make sure you will stay out of danger at least for a little while longer. So something else you can do, you can go in there, Fan of Knives, get back out, and then start shooting. And keep in mind, by the time you're done with that maneuver, you will have a low amount of discipline, so you might not be able to use some of your other abilities. Just keep that in mind. But also, Vault, another cool thing about it, you can use it to get around quickly. Obviously, can't use it forever, as it does use a lot of discipline. 15, I think. No, 10. 10 discipline, but still a very nice thing to have there. And take out these mobs real quick. A little bit of a combination. Fan of Knives, a little bolus shot as well, just for good measure. Again, I know it's single target, man, but I love that ability so much. So we'll switch off Vault, and we will head over to Grenade. Now this is, well, pretty self-explanatory. You throw grenades, boom. Whoops, that's not good. There we go. Ah, dang on it. I've got it selected there, finally. I swear I've used a computer before. Right-click. So that's pretty simple, all right. And you can judge the distance just by moving your mouse where you want it to go. And of course I'm holding shift-click right now to fire this manually. So you can kind of anticipate where your enemies will be and throw grenades that can be waiting for you as they approach, and then you can backflip, get out of the way, and bam, out of danger. We'll switch off grenades, and I think we've done all of the ones up here. Yes, also we do have Spike Trap. Lays a trap at arms after a short time and does 16 to 20 damage when they step on it. You can have a maximum of 3 at a time, though. Elemental Arrow, and it deals 100% weapon damage as fire damage to all targets it passes through. So I'm going to assume that it has a piercing ability. What chance? I don't know, but I'm guessing it's going to have 100% chance to pierce, which would definitely make it a great thing to have. Multi-shot, oh man, this is one of my favorite abilities from Diablo 2. Fires a massive volley of arrows, doing a whole bunch of damage to all enemies in the area. I don't know how many arrows it actually fires, but I'm sure it's good enough to, live up to the name. Cluster Arrow fires a cluster grenade that explodes for 120 damage to a series of additional miniature bombs that explodes for 40% weapon damage each. And we have Rapid Fire. Rapidly fires 6 times your normal attack speed, dealing 30% weapon damage to every shot. That'll be a fun one. I'm sure they have a great graphic for that. Strafe. Shoot 3 times per second at random nearby enemies while moving at 50% of normal movement speed. That is very nice. You can basically run and gun on the move. You don't have to do that stutter attacking like this. And then finally we have Rain of Arrows, 60-second cooldown, so you kind of have to use it wisely. Fires a massive volley of arrows around you. Arrows fall from the sky for 5 seconds, dealing an average of 105% weapon damage per second. Now, as I'm reading these, keep in the back of your head some of these numbers here that I'm mentioning could be changed as the game gets closer to retail, and that's kind of why I'm using terms like doing a lot of damage rather than reading the specific amount. I don't want to get those numbers stuck in your head there. So we've already talked about, no, we haven't talked about this one. Caltrops. It lays a trap on the ground that, we'll actually just put it right there, and what it does, plays that down. You can put, I think, 5, and then you'll have enough energy for, Yeah, you can put 5 total, and by the time you put the 6th one down, the first one is about ready to go away. What it does is it basically is a slowing trap. Anything that hits that within the area will be slowed to about 50% of movement speed for 12 seconds. So there we go, there's that 6th one down, and the first one goes away. So this is an ability that you get very early on. If I recall, you actually get it as one of your first abilities. So we've already talked about Vault. We've already talked about Marked for Death. Smokescreen. This is an ability I actually just got when I hit level 12. This lets you turn invisible for 2 seconds, so this is a great thing to use in conjunction with maybe another ability that uses your evasiveness. Also, if you're getting in too deep, you're taking a lot of damage, you could just go, oh, okay, cool. Bam, smokescreen, run away, backflip, do whatever you want to do to get out of there. You see, it does use Discipline, though, instead of Hatred, 15 Discipline, so you can't do that much else other than maybe 1 smokescreen, 1 vault out of there, profit. So next up we have at level 16, I believe, it looks a little wonky on my screen, is a Raven Companion. This will periodically peck at your enemies for 7 to 9 seconds. I'm sorry, 7 to 9 damage, and unlocked at level 16, so pretty cool stuff. Good to see a demon hunter with a pet. She looks like she would be one that would have a raven run around and do stuff for her. Shadow Power draws in the power of the shadows, increasing attack speed by 50% for 10 seconds. Unlocks at level 19. And finally, 22 Sentry. Drops a turret on the ground. It fires at nearby enemies for a percentage of weapon damage, and also lasts just a few seconds. But that would be pretty cool. I would be curious to know the firing rate. Now, as of this beta, as you've probably seen from my the video that I did with Husky StarCraft, the video, or the game, only lasts until you kill the Skeleton King. That's not that far. By the time you get there, you're about level 8 or 9. So basically, to get higher than level 9, I've been going through and redoing the missions over and over and over. So it takes a little while as you get higher and higher. You know, you don't get as much XP in relation to how much XP you need for your next level. But I'm going to try to get basically as high as I can with this character and show you guys some of the other abilities and kind of give you an idea of how things work. So, finally, utility, we have Preparation. Instantly restores all disciplines. Very nice thing to have. You get that at level 25. Basically, it's an oh crap button for if you're doing a lot of damage. Maybe you're working on a whole bunch of mobs coming at you and you need to get some of that energy back. Bam, hit that. You're good to go for basically double the amount of time. One final thing we're going to be covering here are the passive skills. Now, we can, of course, look right here and see that I have 3 unlocked already. These are things that are, spoiler, passive as you play. And you can have up to 3 at a time, 10, 20, and 30 for the level unlocking. The first one is Brooding. As long as you have not taken damage in the last 5 seconds, you gain a portion of your health back per second. This is a very nice thing for when you're kind of soloing and you don't want to have to worry about a lot of downtime. Maybe you know you're in a tight area, you know you're not going to have a lot of room to navigate, and so you want to kind of have that extra health regen. That'll be a good thing to have. I do not have that on right now. Of course, you can see I have Visions on. Thrill of the Hunt. Every 10 seconds, your next normal attack will immobilize your target for 3 seconds. Keep in mind, the normal attack is just the default one right here.
Darkness
like
grows
I've got.
while we stand about.
Well, that's great. So, yeah, that's just that normal attack right there. Doesn't really apply to your special abilities. And finally, the other one I have unlocked is Vengeance. Gain 10 Hatred and 1 Discipline whenever you are healed by a health globe. That's those little red globes that you've seen littered around the floor that we've been playing. And there is also flavor text under these as well. Steady Aim. As long as there are no enemies within 10 yards, all damage is increased. Cull the Weak. Damage against slowed enemies increased by a percentage. Fundamentals increase the damage of your basic attacks, and they also restore 15 hatred. So that could be a absolutely fantastic thing for you to have, and that'd be a good reason to switch back to left click being like a default shot instead of a active ability. Hot Pursuit, whenever you are full of hatred, movement and speed increased by 10%. That's very nice. Help close the distance and also get around quests quicker. And Archery gains bonuses based on weapon held. Bow, we have a percentage increased damage. We have crossbows plus to percentage critical damage, and also hand crossbows, 5% chance to critical hit. Over here, Perfectionist reduces the discipline cost of all skills by 20%, and that's a very nice thing. Custom engineering. The duration of your caltrops marked for death, spike trap, and sentry abilities are increased by a percentage. Grenadier reduces the hatred cost of your grenades and cluster arrow abilities by a certain amount. Upon death, you also drop a giant grenade that explodes. I like this. I like this a lot. This is basically your last stand. If you were going to be going, you're going to arm the big honking bomb that has been in your backpack and take everybody with you. Sharpshooter, gain a 3% chance to critical hit every round. Bonus is reset for a percentage of seconds after you successfully critically hit. Ballistics, damage from rockets increased by a percentage amount. Rockets are things like arrows, stuff like that. So those are your passive abilities. We've already covered your active, and finally let's actually cover your character screen. Now this is a little bit of a change from Diablo 2, where you could assign your stat points and you can have, a sorceress with a ton of strength, or whatever. This is kind of, it looks like they're automatically assigned for you. Again, this may change some in the final game. Don't get too upset about this if you maybe are somebody that like to kind of customize your character and do kind of wonky things. They may let you want later on down the road. I don't know for sure. I don't think anybody technically does. But this is how it is right now. Everything is assigned pretty much according to what your character would want to be to reach an ideal situation. So you've got your attack, it's attack damage, chance to critical hit, and also you can see critical hits deal 50% additional bonus damage. Defense reduces damage. Basically, it's just like kind of armor from WoW, stuff like that, damage reduction. This works pretty simple. Life, if you lose all of your life, you die. Very nice, straightforward, to the point. Here is your physical damage resistance, also your elemental damage resistance as well. Arcane and Holy, Poison, Lightning, Fire, and Cold. Basic attack, 20.59 DPS coming from your normal shots. And then you can go into the details and you can spot actually how much information is available to you. Unfortunately, I do not have a chance to block. That is just very sad. I am deeply hurt by this. But hope sarcasm translates over the internet. Life per second, that's again just, I think it actually comes from some of my gear, which we'll look at in a second. Here's the resources. The hatreds are generated per minute. Maximum discipline, I like how they actually include that statistic information right there. Now, yes, I do have 28% magic find. That is just, we'll go on to the gear next. So here is your inventory. And you can see here's all the slots for your character items. I have pretty much everything filled out except for the neck. I haven't been able to find one yet. But my hood, we'll take a look at some of the stats here. Precision, again, that's that chance to crit. You've also got a stat that is kind of nifty. Increases the base experience rewarded per kill by +4. This is a stat that you can have on pretty much any item that I've seen so far. It can be pretty nice, pretty nifty, but keep in mind you are sacrificing some other more possibly useful stats like offensive abilities, defensive stats as well, such as Vitality. Magic Shoulders, this is Adventuring Leather Mantle of the Century. What a title there. So a whole bunch of crit, a whole bunch of damage mitigation, and also more base experience. Scouting Gloves, that's Magic Find, increases the base experience and precision. We've got full armor, magic find.
Neither should we.
We're not resting, thank you. 5% chance, magic find, 3%, 6%. Increases in base experience, 26 vitality, 16 attack. And so it's basically a whole bunch of damage, a whole bunch of life on that. Right now my life is at 288. My bow is 12.9 DPS. You can see it gets 1.45 attacks per second. So you can see that zoomed in, and also it has 18% damage, increase attack speed by 4%. I'm pretty sure that's calculated into the actual stat there. I believe the stat without it would be 1.4 attacks per second, but it is a two-handed. You can see it does have a durability and also the current sell value. You have the boots here, regenerates 0.3 life per second. If you don't have that brooding ability, that's a really nice thing to have. And I'll actually get to my character said I had a certain amount of health regeneration somewhere right here. But we'll talk about that in just a second. You won't find that on gear. But Magic Quiver increases hatred regeneration by 25 per minute. So that's very helpful. You can also get other items that give you increases maximum quantity of discipline. So I think the one I've seen gives +3 to that particular stat. Now, 347 gold, alright, that's fairly obvious. And here's my inventory. You'll notice something that kind of varies a lot from from Diablo 2, and that is items don't take up a whole bunch of spaces. The maximum amount of space that I've seen one item take so far in the beta is 2, and that's what you're looking at right now. So moving items around, very simple. You can see I have a pair of rare pants right here. That, again, is just more magic find gear. I'll throw that down. And you can tell the quality looking at it. You could see magic. Okay, that's fine. These are inferior quality. This is a regular quality. And you can also spot whether or not you can use an item by see those X's that's on top of the wands. That's right. That means it's for a wizard. I'm sorry. Wizard, and not really able to use that as a demon hunter. Maybe it'd be something you want to give to your friend, something you want to break down, disenchant, or just sell. Now that brings us to our next point. That is the Nephalem Cube. It allows you to break down items into materials that can be used in crafting. Now in the beta we have access to crafting for the blacksmith, so that's something we'll be using in this video. But you see, it kind of reminds me of enchanting a little bit. You basically just click this and bam. Now you see, salvaging simple dagger gives you subtle essence, which are these right here, crafting material, and offered by salvaging magic weapons and armor. And common scraps right here. This is kind of the standard hoo-ha that you would get from breaking down items. So we'll spot, boom, goes up. And if you want to do things quickly, you can hold shift and go through and basically just trash everything there. And finally, you'll notice that this sword, it does 2 to 4 cold damage. Something good that they do to kind of get your attention is, hey, this does something other than physical damage. You'll see the color, the pattern behind the numbers. It has kind of a wintry feel to it. You'll see a little snowflake there. That is just a quick visual indicator that, hey, there's something unique about this weapon other than just the fact that it's a magic item. So you may want to pay a little bit more attention to that. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and break down the remaining items that we have in the inventory. And we are left with a whole bunch of scrolls of Identify. Now, keep in mind, something I have not had to do is I'll use a bunch of these. You'll notice there's no more tomes. It's just the scroll here. So, what you'll need to keep an eye out for are items of this quality. This is the first quality that I've actually had to identify. All of the other magic items like this that have just dropped on the ground, they're already identified for you, so you don't have to worry about opening your inventory, finding the item, click the book, click the item. Just no more of that. They made it a lot quicker to use for this. Now, you have a couple other items here that I have not touched on just yet. One of them, Cauldron of Jordan, it allows you to sell items anywhere. Left-click the cauldron and then left-click the items you wish to sell. So we would click that and sell that. I'm not going to sell it right now, but you can use that same methodology, shift-clicking, to do the same thing at once. You can also buy back the last several items you've sold from any merchant, so not just this one. If maybe you accidentally sold something and you just remembered it when you're in the field, you can use this Cauldron of Jordan and get that item very quickly. The last item we're going to touch on here in the inventory is the Stone of Recall. It allows you to return to town. Very simple to use. We're just going to left click that and we'll see our character starting to kind of use that Hearth-like ability. Hearthstone, rather, and warp on back to town. So boom, there we go. And it only takes a second to go back, and we're going to get back out of our inventory. There is the town portal. This is a waypoint system. We're going to be touching on, we're going to be looking at the town, the quest, etc. in a different video, but I just wanted to use this one to kind of give you a basic idea of what you would expect to see expanded upon on the early levels of Diablo 3 beta. Pretty much also coinciding with the Demon Hunter, kind of giving it an analysis of her abilities as well. Now, we'll be actually using her to clear through some dungeons, and we'll show you some of the ability combinations in action rather than just in the field. Again, this was just kind of a introductory combined with a general game overview into how you can look at your character's stats, etc. So next video we'll probably go over what's available in the town, waypoints, that system, the quests, how Blizzard has improved upon that, and a lot of other features here. So I think I have actually covered pretty much everything that I want to right now. You see I currently don't have any quests. Here are the journal entries that you can find about the various mobs and quests that you can basically encounter. So we click that and it talks about this, and you can also click listen.
Some foul new disease has taken hold in this land, and the carrion bats are near the heart of it. Since returning to Tristram, I have seen their numbers surge. The evil forces that linger here give them strength, and I fear that the worst is yet to come.
So that is available pretty much for all of the stuff you find here. The way you get these journals and the Quill Fiend information, pretty much as you encounter enemies, it will trigger that information automatically for you. As well, whenever you find a tome, like actually in here, we'll click this. Okay, well, it's not there now. But you'll find a blacksmith's journal, and it'll go over that. It'll automatically trigger that audio recording. Now here is your stash, and now this will be the last thing I talk about this video, I swear. Here's your stash. It works just like Diablo 2, you throw stuff in there, but there are a few additional features, actually one additional feature, that I find to be really helpful. Yes, you do have to buy some slots to extend out, so basically you'd buy this, and it would extend 2 more, and then buy it again, and it would extend 2 more. But what you can do later on is you're going to be able to actually expand upon your chest. So not only would you have access to just this, but you can have pages and pages of stuff. And all of these things will be available to all of your characters at once. So if you want to send something to your barbarian, put it in the inventory, go log on your barbarian, go pull it out of pull it out of your inventory there. Bam, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about muling and having a whole bunch of characters littered around. I believe there's a maximum currently of 7 characters per account. Again, beta probably will change up or down, I don't know, but just keep that in mind. So that's pretty much going to be it for this video. I think I've touched upon everything I wanted to. Again, we're going to have a lot more videos coming with more information, so maybe if you have a question, leave it down in the comment section below. Let me know what you'd like for me to cover next video, and I will try to include it. Otherwise, we're pretty much just going to go through as much information as possible. And yes, definitely burn those corpses. So again, as always, if you found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you feel so inclined, you can subscribe. That actually helps me out a lot. Lets me know I'm doing a good job. And of course, if you have any additional information you just want to throw my way, feel free to leave that as well. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it moderately useful and informative. And we'll see you in the next one.